You guys want to see Stephen Miller crash out? Sure you do. Share this post. He's so mad and his little Yahtzee arms are shaking.
Hi lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda Strana. Thank you so much for all the love and support. To my returning subscribers, those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate each and every one of us. You guys are the real MVPs.
So I came across this video meant for you, and I thought to share with a lot of people are reacting to the fact that Stephen Miller, the former VP, and one other man actually decided to go to DC, and so many people were like, so many protesters was like, using some words on them, telling them to, better go back to where they're coming from. This actually made Steven to start crashing out, and I was able to put up some of those stitches, lovelies. I'm just going to roll the clip as well as the stitches I was able to put together. Please leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video, and please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes.
They have no families they're raising in this city. They have no one that they're sending to school in this city. They have no jobs in this city. They have no connections to this community at all. But they're the ones who've been advocating for the 1%, the criminals, the killers, the rapists, the drug dealers. And I'm glad they're here today. Because me, Pete, and the Vice President are all going to leave here, and inspired by them, we're going to add thousands more resources to this city to get the criminals and the gang members out of here. We're going to dismantle those networks, and we're going to prove that a city can serve for the law-abiding citizens who live there. We are not going to let the communists destroy a great American city, let alone the nation's capital. And let's just also address another thing. All these demonstrators that you've seen out here in recent days, all of these elderly white hippies, they're not part of the city and never have been. And by the way, most of the citizens who live in Washington, D.C. are black. This is not a city that has had any safety for its black citizens for generations. And President Trump is the one who is fixing that with the support of the Metropolitan Police Department, the support of the National Guard, and our federal law enforcement officers. So we're going to ignore these stupid white hippies that all need to go home and take a nap because they're all over 90 years old, and we're going to get back to the business of protecting the American people and the citizens of Washington, D.C. Hippies that all need to go home and take a nap because they're all over 90 years old.
Well, Steve Miller is clearly a dick. Yes. And I used to like him, unfortunate. But he's pushing the old thing again. Yeah, it's almost like a subtle way to back up with what the dicks like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker say. You know, what the globalists say, that always want to go after the elders, want to go after the baby boomers. First of all, it's not true. They're not all 90-year-olds, okay? What I'm really wondering is, why wouldn't he just say the truth? And the truth is that most of them are paid protesters. They are. It's like protest on demand kind of thing. Yeah, they did it with Antifa. They did it with BLM. So I'm wondering why he doesn't say that truth. Instead, he goes out of his way to push in a subtle way, push the narrative of the globalist Marjorie Taylor Greene, the globalist Tucker Carlson, and others who, have been going out of their way, and they've managed that group. The globalists have managed to get the millennials to hate the baby boomers and wish them dead. So I'm wondering why this dick is now helping that bullshit. Because he could have just said, no, they're paid protest. Because if you go look, they're not all 90, okay? Look, I have no love lost for the hippie generation. I never saw any of their intentions being about America first or about being about America at all. They never said they were. They made it kind of clear they hated America. I think most people that are Gen X or older know that. That said, these protests are not 90-year-olds, okay? So I don't know why he's lying. So he's just outright lying. Well, Pete Hegseth stands there, and JD Vance, and none of you step in and say, wait, they're not. Oh no, we're just going to laugh about it. Are you all this much of dicks? Because it's globalists that hate the globalists. It's not just the baby boomers. They'll hate the next generation too. What the globalists hate is they don't want to pay for any resources for people to live longer. They're that selfish. That's the reason why you see how selfish Tucker is, how selfish Marjorie Taylor Greene is, why all she ever fucking does is talk about her kids when she's supposed to be serving people, other people, not just her agenda. But what comes out in these people is how absolutely selfish they are. And what they end up slipping up on is exposing how they're globalists. So now that Stephen Miller has exposed that he's a globalist, well, he's a dick too. Look, it's a nudge. I can't explain it. You get a nudge. It's not, like pay attention. Did you catch that kind of thing? That's what happened with this video when I came across it. Was a nudge. And so it's not like gut instincts. Everybody's born with gut instincts. That's a chemical process that takes place in the body, like that happens during fight and flight. That's different. A nudge, though, call it a divine nudge, call it whatever you want, but it comes from a different place. It's not a chemical compound or chemical. It's not that. And this is one of those things. It's like, wait, no. Okay, so now he's exposed himself. I think you should just maybe figure that Trump surrounded himself with all globalists that are going to make like they're on Trump's side, and maybe in some ways they'll expose some things but look, Donald Trump's running this whole show. He's running it all. He is. He knows all these people are going to expose themselves. There was absolutely no reason for Stephen Miller to say this when he could have said the truth. They're paid protesters. Because if you go look, then you can tell they're not all 90-year-olds. So he went out of his way to push the globalist Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker talking point that the baby boomers are to blame for everything. Well, now we know you're a dick.
JD Vance, Pete Hegseth, and Stephen Miller walk into a train station. No, this isn't the start of some joke. It actually happened today at Washington, D.C.'s Union Station, and the three men went to ostensibly visit the National Guard troops that were there to protect the train station, which I've been to the train station. It's beautiful, and it's not full of crime. But they went to buy burgers from Shake Shack and give them out to the troops. And while they were there, well, protesters were there too, and they had already been there. And they saw these three, and they got louder, to the point that the media could not even hear JD Vance attempting to spin whatever the administration's spinning about Washington, D.C. What they could hear was something saying, you hear these people screaming, free D.C., let's free it from lawlessness, let's free it from high crime, and let's make it so families can walk down the street. All things that aren't true and that currently happen. But the protesters are the real heroes here, because they were screaming so loud, nobody actually heard JD Vance. He actually ran headlong once again into people protesting him so badly that he cut his visit short, didn't buy all the burgers that he promised that he'd buy, and he left early. So JD Vance is just leaving places consistently now because of protesters. I appreciate all of you that are out there screaming at JD Vance every time you see him. Maybe tomorrow I'll get a chance to do that in Georgia.
The whole nation's abuzz about saying it is high time we lock up those criminals who are in D.C. And I want to highlight 5 of the top criminals. I'll show their mugshots above my head, starting with this guy right here. This is a convicted felon, 34 felony convictions. He's also been found liable of tax fraud and business fraud and essay against women, and has allegations against him of inappropriate behavior with young girls. He's married to a naked model, former naked model, who allegedly he met at one of those, parties that I can't say, but I think you know what I mean. Anyway, in addition, this guy regularly extorts money out of people by selling them fake products, enrolling them in fake universities, selling $400 sneakers made in China, stuff like that. So regularly trying to extort money out of people, and especially poor people. Anyway, I'm going to show this next one. This is that convicted felon's attorney. Now, she regularly enters into frivolous lawsuits, sues people illegally, does whatever she can to bend the law to illegally enter into frivolous lawsuits. So she's a bad one. She ought to get disbarred and locked up. Now let me show you this next one, because this next one is unbelievable. This guy's a former heroin addict, used to do all his drug deals, the Upper East Side of New York. Well, he's trying to steal medical treatment from old people and children, trying to destroy years of medical and vaccine research so people won't be able to get vaccines and eventually they'll perish. But this guy, see, he's not new to making things perish. When he was a kid, he used to put rodents into a blender just for sport, just for entertainment. So he's a bad one. Needs to get locked up. Now the next one, biggest villain of all. He might be the worst of them all. This villain is the mastermind of a huge ethnic cleansing plot to disappear and ethnically cleanse an entire group of people. He's put together these plans to kidnap parents in front of their children, orphaning the kiddos, and he puts the parents in a concentration camp surrounded by alligators. Who knows what happens to the kids? They're maybe disappeared, never to be reunited with any family ever again, and I don't know what's going to happen to them. So this guy, he's a real criminal. In addition to all that, he regularly breaks camera lenses just by looking into them. And finally, this guy right here, he might actually be a foreign asset. He might be a Russian asset. He regularly sends classified information through his iPhone. He sends it to journalists, to his mother-in-law, to his family members regularly. And he also has a history of SA and some alcohol-driven really bad behavior. So this guy, he also needs to get locked up. Once we rid Washington, D.C. of criminals like this, everyone will be better off. Hey, y'all, it's me all in good fun on August 20th.
Stephen Miller from Santa Monica, California, JD Vance from Southern Ohio, giving little speeches about how the people in DC who are upset about their occupation of DC are outsider whites. Specifically, Stephen Miller said that they're old white hippies who are protecting rapists. Stephen Miller, outsider, white guy, protecting a rapist. They love that R in Darvo. They love it. I think that it's like I think that part, what they did with those, I think they just did it as like a trolling move. I think it's just that they know that it's ridiculous to say that. They know that they're the white people defending rapists, and they're like, yeah, this will drive everyone crazy. But boy, you control people forever. It will not give you a chin, Stephen Miller. Nothing about your face is going to get prettier because you troll people.
The right nerve of Stephen Miller to proclaim that the white hippies protesting in Washington, D.C. have no roots in that city, no connections to that city. I'm sorry, is that our nation's capital you're talking about? I believe that one does not have to be born and raised in Washington, D.C., or even have familial ties in Washington, D.C. to have connections with the nation's capital. And what's particularly disturbing about somebody like Stephen Miller is that he feels ownership to Washington, D.C. himself, when he himself is from Southern California. Let's not forget. I'd like to know who Stephen Miller has in particular for ties and connections to Washington, D.C., since he's a SoCal boy. Everyone that showed up in Washington, D.C. to protest showed up because they care about this country. And they love Washington, D.C. because it is the capital of this country. The first time I ever went and visited D.C. with my family at 16 years old, I had never been there, born and raised in Texas, in fact, still felt a connection to the city, still felt in awe of it. A part of that city belonged to me. I felt that at 16. But pardon my French when I say, fuck Stephen Miller for trying to gatekeep Washington, D.C. from the rest of us. If I want to show up in D.C. and protest the fact that they are treating it like their own little game of Risk, I will. And I'll show up with all of my white, hairy armpitted, blue-haired hippie friends.
Once again, the level of bitch-assness is very, very high. We welcome in Stephen Miller, another piece of shit. This idiot had the nerve to call these people that were at the festivals there in DC. He called them elderly hippies, one, elderly white hippies. Then he doubled back around and called them stupid white hippies. Then he had the nerve to say that the commander in creep, little tangerine tyrant, daddy dumpy pants, Putin's bottom bitch, is trying to protect black people. So in the midst of trying to erase black history and whitewash everything and water everything down and remove us from seats of power, you turn around and loop back around and say that motherfucker is trying to protect us. Where? How? Stephen Miller, you are officially the dumbest motherfucker I know. Yeah, you're a piece of shit. Fuck all the way off and have the shittiest day ever. Go fast.
So Vice President JD Vance, the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and also a White House aide, Stephen Miller, all went to Union Station in Washington, D.C. today to double down on President Trump's military and police takeover of D.C.'s law enforcement. But here's the thing that I thought was super interesting about this. How often do you see White House advisors, senior White House aides, really even at the highest level, doing high-profile trips like this, basically putting himself on par, on the same level as the Vice President of the United States and also a cabinet secretary? Well, that's exactly what Stephen Miller did today, and I thought it was extremely telling, and let me tell you why. Stephen Miller is the intellectual architect of almost everything that comes out of Donald Trump's White House. He is the person who spearheads the immigration crackdown, the mass deportation policy, the execution of it, and he is also the person who ensures that the cabinet secretaries are doing what he wants them to do. He is not your average White House advisor. He's not even the chief of staff, but he is perhaps the most powerful person in Donald Trump's orbit. They have been able to carry out that mass deportation policy. They have effectively militarized American cities like Los Angeles and Washington, D.C., and they are using ICE and Border Patrol agents as a police force for the Trump agenda. We'll be talking about all of this, plus the boos and jeers that they got from Washington residents when they were in the city today, plus a brand new Washington Post poll that shows that pretty much everyone in Washington doesn't want this new Trump policy. A lot to discuss. 10 p.m.
Like,
on
seriously,
CNN
of this, DC is another place where this man decided to show himself, decided to call out the people who are standing up against the injustice. He decided to call them some old white hippies. Oh my God. Some old white hippies. And when he made that statement, I decided to, research more on the statues and the people who were actually protesting. He actually referred them as 90-year-old old white hippies that need to go home and rest or sleep. Then I made my own research to see all of those old white hippies, and I realized that most of the people who were actually protesting were not that old. Like, they don't even look 90. Like, I didn't see where he saw those old white hippies. I have seen countless protesters who happens to be, some which is pan-colored people, like majority of them, the vast majority of them. And another thing is that he actually went there with his people, like two of his other companies, and these people decided to start chanting and telling them to go back, trying to share the injustice that has been done to this young and black men who has been picked from the streets in the name of they are all homeless and need to be behind bars for being homeless. The residency of the said place is now telling you guys that these people are not the people whom you actually think that they are. There are real, you know, Ray AP people and Ray AC people and criminal people in the high places that you were supposed to channel your energy into, right? Exactly what they are trying to tell them. Not okay. I think they are not disputing the fact that okay, things that not really happens there. But the thing is that they are also using the opportunity to focus on people that looks like me, trying to make them uncomfortable. Just imagine a pan-colored person coming to a neighborhood that is filled with people that looks like me, claiming that he wants to come and help these people. Oh my God. Maybe they might have good intention, but the way at which the society is being run, that is why it's as if people don't even trust their good intention. They might actually have good intention, maybe, but no. No, it is not trust. It's not something that someone that looks like me can trust. Imagine you are someone that looks like me, you know, maybe roaming on the streets at an ungodly hour, and some group of pan-colored person decide to stop you. That doesn't, like, even you as a pan-colored person, or as a black person, you're like, oh my God, like you have to just need to protect yourself. I have seen so many stitches where these people pretend that they are going to go save people that looks like me, but then again, something else happened. I have seen the one that happened last year. This young lady, oh my God, I can't even remember her name anymore. I pray I remember her name, but may her soul rest in peace. You know, by this Sean pan-colored man who decided she called out for help, but this help came and ended her. You know, so you wouldn't blame anyone for trying to be so concerned about this all of a sudden help. Meanwhile, there are so many people in high places that is known for their atrocity, just the way at which a pan-colored woman decided to name all of them. They are all there, moving freely. One of them who happens to be the head of state, you know. But no, they wouldn't focus on that. And this Stephen Miller man has constantly I think he's actually in the black book of so many people. You know, he's coming destroying people's life, from family, separating people and thereabout. But once they see that someone is challenging them or their authority, they try to turn the table around to make you look like the bad person, calling them old white hippies. And why must they even bring black people's name in this statement? Why would he even bring black people in this statement? Like, the thing is that I love the fact that black people are just there minding their business and allowing these people to do this while they watch, like in a cinema. Oh my God. Anyway, lovelies, why not just leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video, please. Do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. So guys, if you've not subscribed to this channel, do your girl a huge favor to click on the subscription button, like, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.
I will see you, lovelies, when I upload the next one.